There are many so-called universal laws, and there are so many sub-laws, and there are so many elements under those sub-laws, and there are so many agreements under those elements. And the truth of the matter is, one of the pieces or the things that is relevant to me, why I like to study the laws of the universe, is to make sure that I find inner peace. This episode is 100% designed, focus on identifying and finding your inner peace, because without it, you're putting a huge stumbling block on your creativity and the ability to do something great, not only for you, for your family and the community that counts on you. I have a very special episode with definitely one and only rock star that you do not want to miss her message today. This is your Strategic Partner Show. Let's go.
I've been caught up since the day that we met, and you haven't seen the best of me yet. There's nothing like you and me together, and your eyes have been so hard to forget. But there's something you're trying to hide. There's something you're keeping inside. But I'm trying to get to know you much better. It don't matter how much time it takes. I just can't give up. Whoa, I just can't give up. Can't give up. I just can't give up. Oh, I just can't give up. I just can't give up. Can't give up. I just can't give up. I just can't give up.
Shall we keep on dancing? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of your Strategic Partner Show. And of course, I have your strategic partner here with you, Debbie Peltola-Salmons, who definitely knows a thing or two about the importance of inner peace. And I am your host with the avocado toast, Ali Medawi. And, first and foremost, we took last week off because we wanted to honor our strategic partner's mom, Mr. Tokoyo Carlton. His beloved mom has passed on to heaven. And while they're still organizing the wake and the funeral this week, we definitely wanted to do the right thing and just show love, show respect, and definitely say we're going to put a pause on everything to show him love, to love on him. And Tokoyo, if you're hearing and watching this, we want you to know that we love you, brother, and definitely are here with you. He'll be back with us next week. So much love for that. And of course, we have the rock star herself, Debbie Salmons, in here, definitely bringing so much amazing greatness, positivity, and whether you're in Florida or Massachusetts, it's always sunny wherever you are. So, ladies and gentlemen, give it up to Debbie Peltola-Salmons. How you doing, rock star?
I'm doing fantastic. Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh. And I don't know about you, but when we do miss a week, I feel it, right? I miss being here. I miss being with my partners. I miss, putting out, a message and some value to all of you. But I agree. It's important to pause, which is going to lead us really into our topic tremendously. But, to Koyo's mom, it's important to pause and honor a life.
Yep.
And honor a life well lived, right? I don't know a lot about Tokoyo's mom yet, but I know Tokoyo, right? And we are always an image or part of the creation of our parents. And so she deserves huge kudos and respect. So I was glad that we took that pause. And I spent that time, just so you know, Ali, I actually spent that hour and I messaged Tokoyo, and I did some of my own personal prayers for him and his family, because I've lost both of my parents. And it was a blessing how I got to be with them to the end. But when we lose our parents, life changes. Life, I don't care how old we are, life changes when we lose our parents.
Yeah. And I'm grateful that you're sharing that with us, and especially, I'll tell you a little bit about Mrs. Barbara. That's her name, Barbara Carlton. I asked Tokoyo to tell me a little bit about her, and he kind of was sharing with me how talk about inner peace, right? She went on to She was definitely entrepreneurial minded. You wonder where Mr. Carlton gets it from, but she would create different opportunities for the youth to work for her or to give them like gigs and jobs and whatever it may be, to keep them out of trouble. And and then she did that all the way until, obviously, unfortunately, she had a stroke about a year ago. And there were signs for recovery, and tried, had the family around as much as possible. And until it was time, to meet our creator, right? And until we meet again, Mrs. Barbara, your impact is forever cemented, within this earth, at least within this universe that we are in right now. And definitely just want to make sure that it is recognized that she made a huge impact. And not only on everybody close by in the community, but people all over the country, from family and everybody that has known her. So kudos to her for what she's done. And
Isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah.
Right? It's about that at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about that before. We all know what's going to happen, right? We know the ending to the story, right? But leaving that impact or that legacy, with your family. I mean, that's just amazing that she created those opportunities for other young for young kids. Those are the things that, for me, they truly make a difference. Truly. I mean, we all know we strive for success. We strive for financial gain and for things in our life. But it's those intangibles, right? That you can't touch, you can't pay $1,400 for the silly iPhone, right? Those are the intangibles, and those are what last a lifetime. And
absolutely.
Beyond. So, yes.
Yeah. Well, let's get into today's discussion. You and I had a good 40 minutes maybe conversation today, interrupted a lot by Sebastian and his ice cream making skills. But we were talking about like how to position yourself in a situation where there's inner peace, right? We can make a whole lot of money in the world, but until you find inner peace, it really makes no difference, right? Or you're just gonna eventually end up just quitting anyways. End up just I find it's okay to quit something that you realize it's no longer aligned.
Yes.
But to look back and say, man, I just wasted 6 months, a year, 2 years, that's where really the little regret kind of kicks in, right? So let's talk a little bit about the importance of identifying, am I in an environment where there is inner peace? Because inner peace is definitely a residual outcome of everything around you, all of your input, everything that you're putting yourself within. And by default, I genuinely believe that it allows you to create better, more faster, more abundant ways. And if you don't have inner peace, your brain is just clogged. You can't really think straight, right? So can you kind of talk to us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. But the first thing I want to talk about is, like, because inner peace, we talk about it, right? But it's actually a feeling, right? Inner peace is actually a feeling. And so for me, and I would like to, throw it back to you too, to hear what your opinion is. My definition of that feeling of inner peace is really the ability to enjoy every moment, despite all of the stressors, in your life, that you can still enjoy that moment. So that's like the feeling that I like to get from inner peace. And so what I recognize and what we're talking about is, I recognize when that feeling of enjoying every moment is not there, right? When that feeling goes away, then I need to start looking at what is going on that's causing that feeling to be a little more scarce, right? Is it people that I'm around? Is it a business that I'm working? Is it business partners? I mean, ad infinitum are the possibilities, but that's where we have to look and figure it out, right? Figure out where am I off track, or where is something not congruent with who I am and who I want to be and how I want to feel.
Yeah. It's interesting that you put it that way because, I'll tell you, selfishly speaking, for me, I usually I ask myself, am I happy? Like, just simple question. Am I happy? And, however complex that question may be, I think we all understand the feeling of being happy or not, right? And different people have different ways of identifying the concept of happiness, right? Some people are happy with money, some people are happy with fulfillment, some people are happy with relevance, with recognition. For me, I look at all of the above. Like, I literally do a full inventory. Am I happy with my income? Am I happy with how I wake up and thinking about, working with Debbie? Am I happy with, the work that I've put forward yesterday? Am I happy on the value that is put on me and I'm putting in the marketplace? And you kind of like do a little bit of like a self-evaluation. Now, if you've never done that, for our dear listener and viewer, just make sure you always consult with someone else. Get a reality check. I loved, you and I were talking earlier this morning, and you were talking to me about like what my value really represents, how I'm doing well and whatnot. And I'm like, I appreciate it, but I got ways to go. And you're like, no, 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 no. I understand. I love you, but you got to understand you're better than anything you've ever done. Here is what your value really represents. And I appreciate it. I was thinking about it. I'm like, why am I being mean to myself? Because if somebody were to tell me like, you haven't done jack yet, Ali, you're not there yet, my mind will automatically go like, what you mean, bro? Like, what I've done, like, it's me being mean to myself. So the sense of humility and defeating my own possibilities within my inner voice sometimes could be blurred lines. So I really appreciated that. So how do you identify, Debbie, for you, how to find that inner peace, or how to identify that, maybe I'm putting myself in a bad situation where there's a lot of heat and I should probably walk away from it?
Yeah. And that is great. And again, like what you said, first of all, inner peace is different for everybody. Some people get it being outside and you guys know, I'm a farmer. I grew up on a farm. So that's my Zen. I go back and get to nature. But you have to start to recognize and honor. We talk about knowing your own core values, right? And all of it's connected. So when you know your own core values, you know that you have boundaries and you have lines that you don't like to have crossed.
Yeah.
What I notice is if those lines start to get blurred for me, I start to question, or I just get a little uneasy feeling. It sounds cliche, but you get a little bit of anxiety on the back of my neck, right? Like the hair goes up on the back of my neck. It just doesn't feel quite right. And I also am aware if I feel like somebody is trying to push me and sell me to their point of view so as to take my own inner, radar off kilter, right? But we have to learn to trust that. We have to trust our our gut, our inner feelings. Nobody knows us better than us. And so we have to learn to trust that. And I think so. Sorry, I just read Joanne's comment. So many people, unfortunately, I love watching you and Sebastian and Isabel. And I did it with my sons too, because we need to teach them at a young age. We have to guide them, but we have to guide them to trust their inner voices.
Yeah.
Right? Their inner voices of this doesn't feel right. This doesn't look right. It doesn't smell right. It doesn't taste right. And you got to start looking for those little flags. Now, one of the things I want to talk about in network marketing, right? Because that's where I've spent a good portion of my career is, I'm just going to be real. Lots of times you're kind of pushed to ignore those inner promptings and just, right, be all in, company, go, 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 right? And I have fallen prey to that in the past, where sometimes I didn't ask the questions, just kept the blinders on. Sometimes I asked the questions and they weren't answered appropriately, right? But when we start to question anything, we've got to get some outside input.
Of course.
Right? Outside input.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. Now, especially if we all get these messages from our inner voice. If you don't feel that your inner voice can be trusted per se, you reach out to somebody like, hey, I just want to run something by you. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm feeling. And I've done that many, many times. Matter of fact, I've done it every single month. Hey, I just want to do a check it on some things, right? Like, I got a check engine light and I want to know if it's just the wrong code or if it's really, really an issue here. Right.
Right.
And I definitely agree with you on that. I'm reading a new book alert for Ali. So many of you, yeah. And by the way, I read it listened to it over 20 times already. Now the reason, yeah, but just you'll understand why. It's the shortest book that I've ever had. It's called 12 Universal Laws, and it's 39 minutes. So I started last week, and I mean, it is on go, 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 go. So there are 12 universal laws that are in my head right now. I can spit them out, right? And the reason I mention it's just so much that you have to understand about yourself in order to create your inner peace, right? I'll give it to you in this example that I've learned, and that example is simply this: think about when you're on the road. You understand when you are to go 25 miles an hour, and you understand when you're supposed to go 65 miles an hour. Now, sometimes if we don't understand our own operating laws, or let's just say in this example, the road laws, you may be going 65 miles an hour in a 25 mile an hour zone where there are kids at play, and you may hurt yourself and hurt others, right? Or the opposite, you may be on a highway where you're supposed to go full throttle, 65 miles an hour, stay on the left lane, hit maybe 75 and pass, and then come back when you're not supposed to pass. Because you might not know the laws, you're now going 25 miles an hour while everyone is honking, and you're creating a dangerous situation because you're. So I share this with you to understand that it is imperative that you understand the universal laws of the way we operate. You can call them universal laws, you can call them core values, you can call them fundamentals, you can call them guidelines, whatever you want to call them, right? It's extremely important to understand where am I in my life, how slow or how fast am I to go. I spoke to you earlier today. The last 4 weeks specifically, I've been doing a lot of self-evaluation, and I slowed down on purpose. I went 25 miles an hour. Yes. I took the back roads. I chose the stop sign so I can ponder a little bit and get a little bit more nostalgic about, let me take another look left and another look right before I go. And I purposely avoided the highway just to make sure I understand the laws of the operating system of this environment that I live in. Now, I'm getting all philosophical and everybody in here, but the point being, make sure that you know where you are playing and how it is impacting you, because you may be in a vehicle by yourself, and that vehicle may be network marketing, it may be traditional business, it may be influencer, but you also may be on a bus and you have a bunch of people in your bus that are counting on you to get them on the final destination the proper way. So you have to have a sense of responsibility, whether you are a solopreneur or a solo driver, there's other people in the street, or whether you are responsible for a whole unit that is in this bus that you're riding with you. I hope my analogies make sense. I get a lot of people like, dude, you always talk about analogies. I'm like, hey, listen, I read a lot about this guy named Jesus. He speaks in parables. So that's the ultimate mentor.
You'll hear any of the people that I privately coach and mentor, I use analogy after analogy.
Yeah.
And part of it with analogy is because you can eventually find one that someone will relate to, and then the point will finally click, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, really what you're saying is again, no matter what word you use to describe it, right? But knowing your own beliefs and where you're at, right? That inner peace comes from the idea that you're willing to act according to them. And if you're not sure what's going on and it's fuzzy, it's interesting how this happens, because I just slowed down for a week too. And you and I hadn't discussed it, right? You kind of were doing it, and I did it as well. And I also did it about 2 months ago, where I literally, took some time off, because that's the other thing with inner peace. Like you said before, when there's too much going on, there's too much noise, right? And I call it the committee that's in my head, and there's this voice and there's that voice, and I hear Ali's voice, and I hear my husband's voice, and I hear my mom, and I hear my dad, and I hear my partner, and I can't figure out where's my voice. Yeah. Right. I'm hearing everybody else's voices, and I've got to slow down, get quiet, and hear my voice. Without a doubt. And then connect with, well, what was Ali's voice, right? And take what I need from that. And what was this voice, and apply it. Because, it's all so connected. And that's why I love it. And I love the brain just like you do. Because society, right, really pushes us to not have inner peace, right? Marketing pushes us to need something else outside of us, right? All the time. And if this is in your hand, it never stops. It never stops. And so sometimes we get on the wrong bus, right? We get on the wrong bus because, well, everybody's going on that bus. That's going to be the one. That's where it's going to be. I got to go there. And you get on there, and you've been dropped down, into this world, and you go, wait, this doesn't work for me. Right. And so again, the big loop is, if you're not at a spot where, you trust yourself on some of those feelings, please run it by somebody else, a close friend, a mentor. I hope everyone has someone like that. We're so blessed. That's what the field that we're in. Because myself and my mind, left to its own devices without clear input from other people, can take me way off course. Yep. Right.
100%. Yeah. And real quick, just a shameless plug. Tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, yours truly, Debbie Salmons, will be on our live training session with our IM members, influencer, traction, media, all the way in the bottom. You see it's floating right on your screen. For an average of $1.50 a day, you can learn how to start, grow, and scale a business, whether it's on an on-demand platform with everything that you need to know, showing you exactly as if we're just sitting right next to you, or you can come and join us tonight. Tonight, we're covering the 12 universal laws, and we're going to dissect them. Yes, 20 times over, so you don't have to. So come on and join us, and I'll dissect them for you tonight. And of course, with the great help of Debbie Salmons. So go to im.media today. And for an average of $1.50, you could be part of an entrepreneur community where you can have everything and anything you need to start, grow, or scale your business. So
love it.
Let's talk about it. One of the things that I appreciate about how to pivot, right? Like you're by far one of the most loyal people when it comes to business, right? Like you shake hands, virtual hands, contract or not, you're like, I got you all the way until 6 feet under, right? Yep. In other words, you're the type of person that never fail a company unless a company fails you, right? Yep. And I appreciate that, but we're in a place right now in our lives, at least the last 3 years have taught us a lot of lessons. What would be your advice to you for somebody not to look for red flags, because we're not trying to get somebody to, have a negative mindset what is looking for a problem, but how do you advise somebody to always position yourself to be in a good place in your life? I'd like to hear some of your pointers, and definitely I'll piggyback and kind of give you what I've done for my wife and my self-sanity as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, what I want to say is, we know, and we all talk about this, that everything's a lesson, right? There's a lesson in everything, and evaluating it is important. So the one thing that I desperately try to never have is regret, right? Because I always try to look for the positive and the lesson that's in there. And, the experience that I'm coming off of right now, and like you say, is you don't want to continue to look for red flags. I don't want to be a distrustful person, because in my core, I believe that people are good, right? But I think one of the things is again, it's having clear boundaries for yourself, right? And what I mean is if you have a concern or a question, you need that answered to you in a sufficient manner that is acceptable to you, instead of just going, oh, okay, well, that's all right, I'll let it go a little longer, which is what I did, right? I think you've got to draw that line in sand. And again, I always try to turn a positive spin in it, because I don't want to be negative and just be like, well, this is the line in the sand, and if you cross this. But it's got to be clear. Expectations have to be clear. What is happening has to be explained. Has to be, right? If you're a shareholder in a company, right? The shareholders can ask, and they need answers, right? So in any business partnership or company that you're with, if you start to feel like your questions are not being taken seriously or looked at as legitimate, right? Or you even get that sense that maybe you're not getting the full story. What I now have set myself up to do is I step back, because I'm an all-in person, like you said, and I am loyal. But I now will protect myself. I will protect myself and my inner peace, so that I can keep that trust and loyalty factor. And you know what? People need to earn it. And now I'm not just giving it away freely. You've got to earn it each step of the way, right? Yeah. And just because I know you and I are the same way, we're based on honesty and integrity, right? And I understand marketing, and I understand, I've been in businesses since I was 18 years old. And I understand that there is always a degree of spin or marketing that has to be put out from a company, right? If there's something amiss, and there's a degree that's okay, right? Because you don't want to send mass hysteria. And I'm going to give you an example, okay? Because I'm going to give you an analogy and an example. You got, I grew up on a cranberry farm. We have cranberries. I was out working on it today. When I was a young girl, there came across a cancer scare. And I honestly don't recall all the logistics of how it came out, but there was, how quickly things moved. And this was before there was mass media. There wasn't the internet, right? But it got on the news and it got in the newspaper. And so a lot of the companies had to get out in front of that, right? Because that would have collapsed the entire industry. So there's always a little bit of, you have to get somebody out there and talk the talk. What I'm not okay with is that talk being a lie, right? Address the question. Don't hide behind it. Don't shove it behind like it's not there.
Yeah.
Address it. Handle it, right? Because it wasn't untrue. And so what they were able to do by coming out front and dealing with that head on, they were able to prove that was an incorrect thing, and the market didn't collapse, right? Yeah. So you have to be constantly vigilant. Vigilant.
No, I hear you on that. No, you're spot on. I'll tell you this, for me, I'm at peace with the idea that every relationship starts with friendship and will end with friendship, and I live by that. In other words, there are business opportunities that we're going to get in and get excited about, business opportunities that are going to, take a different turn. One of the things that I like, doesn't matter. I could be in business with you today and something changes and change of heart. I will do everything in my power to make sure that I'm still doing right by you, because not only, do unto others as you wish done unto you, but I don't want to burn bridges. I know that, we live in law of motion, right? The world that we live in, or the law of rhythm, as they call it, it's always moving, right? There's 24 hours and there will be another 24 hours and there will be another 7 days. And there will be so whatever I put onto other individuals will come back onto me. So I want to know for a fact that, I'm still going to honor who you are, no matter whether there is a business transaction in play or not. Um,
Absolutely.
and
Right?
even if, yeah, well, even if the other party might not necessarily look at the process that way or not feel about me that way, I want to be able to sleep at nighttime knowing that, like, I did I,
Yes.
I did good by you. I could go to sleep knowing I don't owe you anything. I didn't hurt you, and I will never do that, right? And everything that we do, especially in my space and yours, everything that we do is mindset. So I don't want somebody renting a space, without paying for it in my head. So the fact that I release and let something or someone go in a very beautiful, positive way, that I can only contain the positivity, the good memories, the good friendship, the good opportunities from it, makes me happy, and makes me happy for that person when I see them on social media taking their business to the next step. As a matter of fact, the last opportunity that we were with, it didn't end up on a happy note, and it kind of impacted our mindset a little bit. We got emotionally on the wrong side of that equation, right? Where we were worked up a little bit up to recently, where we're like, we got to find a happy medium, right? Like, whether it's a dream or God talking to us or whatever it was. And we did. I know certainly I have, where I found myself saying, I love you no matter what. And I'm sorry I wasn't there for you, because I
Yes.
don't know what has led you to do what you've done. And I hope that you find it within yourself to get back where you need to get. That right there made like a ton out of my
Huge.
just drop. Yeah. So
And
that's the first thing. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, well, and just to piggyback on that is because we weren't feeling the inner peace,
Sure.
right? And if I can say anything, to the audience is guys, inner peace takes work as well. Everything takes work, right? And so it took the time that it took for me and for yourself to process, to kind of move. Like you said, there's always a rhythm, there's motion. We had to continue through that. And I knew that I would get to that other side. I knew it because I it's now a pattern. Anytime I have situation like that, my goal, of course, is just to move through that process
Yep.
faster, right?
Yep. Yep.
That's all. The process doesn't ever change. The speed in which the process occurs is what changes, right?
I love how you put that in perspective. You know what? People always talk about time. And I'm gonna be paraphrasing because I don't remember the book or the chapter or the verse, but it was when is Simon asking Jesus, like, like, why do we have to wait? Like, why don't we do this right now? And Jesus goes like, not yet. He was like, but when? He goes like, soon. He was like, yeah, but how soon? He was like, he's like, ask my father what soon means. He's like, it's 1,000 years. It's soon to him. So what I'm gonna tell you is soon. We all want it to happen right now. And I'll tell you this. Another piece for me is the people around me, the immediate direct people who, my wife, who I sleep right next to, and I see 24/7. My kids that spend the most time with me, right? How is this situation that I'm in impacting them? And I know when you snap, right? Like, I'll be in the middle of a Zoom and like pop, I'm like, dude, like, not right now. And I'm like, I just talked to not even a 5-year-old, and I turned and I said, dude, not right now. Like, he's 27, right? And that was me in many occasions over the last however many 6 months to a year, that I felt that, dude, I said stop, not right now. So pay attention to when you snap. You're not snapping because that little kid or the husband or the wife or whomever's in your life is bothering you. You're snapping because you don't have inner peace, and you're reacted based on that inner angry self.
Yeah.
So I pay attention to that a lot.
Yes.
How I talk to my wife, how I react to my wife, how I act, right? So there's acting and there's reacting as well. And those could be two different things. I may be acting and forcing a good side of me because I'm like, I'm going to be good and treat her so well. But then when I'm so zoned into this annoying, frustrating, high, element or low emotion, Zoom or meeting or what have you, and then she'll pop from the side of the office like, hey, you got a minute? I'm like, not right now, please. I'm like, oh my God, why did I talk to her like she's a secretary? Like, that's my wife I'm talking to. So
Right.
pay attention to that. I mean, I know me and you have had over the last 2.5 years situations where I snapped or you snapped, and we're like, 3 hours later, hey,
Yes.
just want to say,
Well, because it doesn't feel good to me, right? Anger, although I know it's a normal human emotion, it does not feel good to me. Anger does not feel good to me. Resentment does not feel good to me. Frustration, none of that feels peaceful, right? And so, but one of the things I had to learn, Ali, early on was I was not allowed to be angry as a child, right? And so I had to learn how to express it, because I expressed it inappropriately. Because what I have, and this has been my journey for inner peace, is I wasn't allowed to get angry. So I stuffed, smiled until the fuse was lit, and there was no controlling that fuse. And it is an awful feeling, because again, guys, I want you to understand, inner peace is a feeling, right? And so when that fuse gets lit for me, it's awful. And it doesn't happen often. But my goal in life is to get where it doesn't happen ever, right? I've gotten to rare. I want to get to where it doesn't happen ever. And my husband calls it an emotional hangover. Have you ever had that, where you get really angry and then you're just like emotionally hungover? Like I'm tired. I feel like I can't function.
And the sad part about that, when you get that emotional hangover, we don't even remember what the heck was I mad about.
Nothing.
Like I don't even know how we got here. And you're like, how did we even get so mad at each other? Like, how did we get here? Right? Yeah. No, I'm with you. The last piece for me, as far as inner peace, how is my behavior changing? So that right there definitely is, and I notice it. And I'm not just saying behavior as in, good mindset or bad mind. I'm saying about like my daily method of operation gets impacted. Like and I talk about it openly, I'm an emotional eater. When I'm extremely happy, I eat. And when I'm sad, I eat. And when I'm angry, I eat. And when I always eat.
Right there with you.
My point being, I eat good when my mindset is good, or I eat really, really bad. You know me, you've seen me many times in here. I'm like shoving my mouth with snacks in the middle of the show while somebody's talking, right? So I'm not doing that because I'm in a really, really good place. But my point being is, I don't work out when my head is, or my inner peace is disrupted, right? I isolate myself. I am a very extroverted introvert. Like, in other words, in front of a camera or microphone, man, I'll go all out. But I'm when by myself in my own feelings, I would literally, again, I am the hat, hoodie, headphones in the plane, head down, doesn't matter where I'm at, and I may hear you next to me talking to me, and I'm like,
yeah, I do the same thing.
Okay, here, right? Just because I'm like, I want to be in my own world, because I am a very, very introverted person when my inner being is not in a very good place. I shy down. And we know that because it reflects sometimes on our outer physical self, right? Like when you're not feeling good, you just want to be left alone. You want to, just watch whatever ridiculousness is on TV and eat some ice cream or chips and whatnot. Just be left alone, because you're fulfilling a void with bad things, and some people go to alcohol, some people go to drugs, some people go to pornography, some people go to food, whatever it may be. I isolate myself big time. So when I notice I just spent 3 hours in my office and I have not gone to say hi to the kids or my wife, there's something, because I usually do 10 minutes out of the hour at least. I'll go, and like hang out, make a coffee or whatever. But that is a usual something is wrong, and I'm either avoiding it or ignoring it because I don't want to deal with it. Because again, at the end of the day, I'm a human being too, right? I do have those emotions as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly right, because everything internal ends up showing externally.
100%.
And I always say that my face is a dead giveaway. Like my husband says that I am a terrible liar. I cannot.
Don't play poker. I read you from a mile away. You're in Massachusetts. I can tell from the first second I talk to you. Don't ever play poker.
He tells me that I lose my upper lip if I ever try to lie,
Mm-hmm.
right? I just can't do that, right? But recognizing how you're showing up, like you're talking about, because as I said, I like the feeling of kindness. I like the feeling of love. I like the feeling of compassion and empathy, right? I love all of those feelings. They give me inner peace. And so if I'm not feeling those, and my first noticeable, who's it going to be? Just like you, Sebastian, or, it's liable to be my dogs. It's liable to be my husband. It's when I even feel that. This is where it just takes constant vigilance on yourself. I hear the tone come out of my voice, or I recognize that it was too edgy or too something. That causes me already to feel that shift and to not feel as good. So one of the important things for me that we didn't touch on is when I recognize something that maybe I'm doing that's causing myself to not have inner peace, is to correct it quickly, right? My kids were little. I mean, I would get down, and I see you do it, and I love it with your son. I would get down to their level to look in their eyes and apologize if mama made a mistake, right? And not frivolously, just saying you're sorry and not meaning it isn't really what I'm talking about. It's acknowledging your error, my error, and apologizing for it. And what I had taught my sons was, I'm apologizing for it. Now my turn is to not allow it to happen again. Because a true apology, you don't do it again, right? If you're really sorry, then hopefully you don't do that again. Are we flawed, imperfect human beings? Yes. But we just keep doing our best, and it's all about self-awareness for that inner peace. And if our family around us doesn't appear to be, it's in turmoil, right? Is it coming from us? Because I always look at that. Is it me or is it them? Because everybody owns their own things. But 100%. I don't want to be the one causing any extra chaos.
Yeah.
Right?
I couldn't agree with you on the apology part, by the way. I can't tell you how many times I'll go in Sebastian's bed and lay down next to him, and while he got grounded or yelled at or whatever, and he'll look at me as like, what's wrong? Because kids know, man. They know that, remember at the end of the day, that inner self is the emotional being. Like all the feelings you're talking about, that's not the hardware, that's the software that has the feelings. So that's why you are aware of it now, right? And Sebastian was like, what's wrong? And I'll lay down and be like, hey, so I just want to apologize. I shouldn't have talked to you the way I did. And he immediately recognizes it, and he says, it's okay. I love you. And I'm sorry that I behaved bad. Like he bounces back on that energy, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's
and that's the amazing point. I'm so glad you said that, because that's by apologizing and being concerned with your inner peace, it brings someone back into the equation.
Yeah.
Because if they were hurt or felt defensive at all, that alleviates that. It releases the pressure, right?
So now, don't get me wrong. You are going to have some people that no matter how much you apologize, their inner self is such a 12 in their anger that you're going to have to just excuse yourself and say, I love you. Exactly. Sorry, but peace out. I got to go. Exactly. Yeah. So I totally agree with you on that. Let me just share with everybody in here real quick. So Friday, around 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9:30, there will be a major announcement in regards to the influencer attraction media platform. We're introducing certain things. We're introducing someone, and you definitely want to see the brand new platform that we are putting together and what's in it for you. I can tell you, it is nothing like you've ever seen before. We've been working hard behind the scene, and there are going to be new faces in your academy. There are going to be new processes within your academy. There are going to be new marketplaces around the world within the academy. So you definitely want to join us on Friday morning as we make the mega announcements. It will be a press release that will be following it and so much more. So I'm really excited for you, Nat. So make sure you're watching us live from the same channels that you're watching right now. All right, Debbie, let's talk about this protecting your inner peace, right? Like we talked about how to identify it. We talked about how to deal with it. How do you protect your inner peace? And different people deal with things differently. I'll tell you, me, I look at life again. The very first law of the law of the universe is law of oneness. We are all connected, intertwined within one another. Like you, whatever it is that you do, however the proximity it is to me is going to impact me and vice versa, good or bad. So I genuinely believe in protecting, whether you want to call it my circle, whether you want to call it my creative element, whether you want to call it my space. I protect it by only allowing the right people in it, only allowing the right environment, only allowing the right books, the right food. And don't get me wrong, it is far from perfect, especially when it comes to food, especially when it comes to mindset, right? But it's a continual growth. That's why education is necessary, right? To continue to learn, to induce and nurture continually. That's what educate means. So if you can give me some of your processes, your perspective, the way you handle things when it comes to protect your inner peace, because as you know, when it's compromised, man, a lot of things can go south.
Yes. Well, I'll go at it from two different directions. If that inner peace is not there and I'm not feeling it, I actually have to take a break and I've got to shut off the noise, right? That's the first step. I have to disengage and go in, and I have to spend some time for me. I spend time in prayer and meditation. And I know, I mean, everybody hears that and they go, oh, geez, prayer and meditation. But the reason you hear it so much is because it's effective and because it works. So I have to separate myself first and foremost so that the head and the heart become congruent, because when it's not inner peace, it's all whirling. It's like a tornado. Yep. So I have to step away from it. And then absolutely, I have to protect myself in many ways. And I will also tell you that I protect myself sometimes even from social media. If social media is even causing too much noise, I will do a social media fast. Even though I work from that platform, if I have to do that, I will do that. Absolutely. I am only keeping positive, uplifting people. It goes without saying around me. Those have to be the people that I am connected to. And why, you know, that sounds simple, but why? It's because if you're already in a place of chaos or the beginnings of chaos, it's again so much easier to be sucked down than it is to be lifted up. So I have got to be hugely consciously aware of not having any negativity around me. You already know I don't have TV, and so the news doesn't go on. I have my earbuds just like you do. I mean, we don't just preach these things. We do them. I know you do them. I know I do them. And just because really, inner peace, if you don't have it, then something's going to be wrong in your life.
Oh, it'll cost you a lot. Let me tell you, you know, the moment I find inner peace, because you may get distracted easily and it goes away again, right? But for me, it cost me, it almost cost me my relationship in 2013 to 2014. My beautiful wife that you all see the notes for every single day, we were separated for a year. And it was because we didn't have inner peace. We didn't understand life and how to operate and how to be with one another. It cost me 3 different times almost my sanity. And you build businesses in the hundreds of millions, and one company in $1.6 billion, and it's taken away from you because you didn't know what you didn't know, right? You were a rookie. You shook hands and you said, yeah, we're going to be here forever, best friends forever, until you're not, right? So every time I work on this inside, software, it's like the world just becomes perfectly ready for me instead of me having to adjust and force a certain behavior. I'm in a place in my life right now where money flows, and I know it's going to sound cliche, but money flows in such a natural, organic way. Like, I'm expecting it every single day. I'm not going to say effortless. I worked really, really hard for 15 years to get to this place in my life. But you wonder sometimes, like, where the heck was it all this time? Like, what did I do that's so different? Well, I found inner peace where the outside world is seeing me as a person who's just happy. You have no idea how many people, Debbie, send me a message that say, dude, I love how you are. And I love how you are with your wife. I don't know what business you're doing, but I just want to, I want to talk to you because I love how happy you are.
Yes.
And that takes a lot. And again, there's 12 universal laws that we're going to talk about tonight at 8 p.m. If you're not part of the I Am platform, go to im.media, sign up for the academy, and you'll have access tonight. But I'm telling you, the moment you find inner peace, you become positively dangerous. Yes. You can literally predict it. You can say, I want it, and you get it by 5 o'clock at nighttime. You can say, I want to make, talk about faith, right? Again, I'm not trying to push scripture or anything on anybody. I'm paraphrasing because I'm not a pastor or anything like that. But Jesus said to his disciples, if you have a faith that is the size of a mustard seed, you can tell a mountain move and it will move.
Yes.
My faith in life and positivity and goodness, I believe in a higher power that promised me, and I believe in that promise, in this world and in the next, all is good. That when something is not given to me right away, it's for my own good. And I'll give you examples after examples after examples. Sometimes I wonder, I'm like, we made it. Like, what happened? And then 3 months later, you look back, you're like, ooh, I get it. I get why you held that thing from me. It's like if you're in traffic and you're like, oh, traffic, I hate it. And then you see that there's a car that's fully burnt out. And that could have been you. And you're like, thank God there was traffic to slow me down from what that could have been, should have been, or, what might have been. So it's costly if you don't have inner peace. So protect it as if it is oxygen. Listen, I love everybody, but I have people that are working with me on, whether personal things, real estate, or whatever it may be, that I straight up said, hey, I can't talk to you because every time I talk to you, you're bringing to me negativity. You're saying negative things. And I asked you nicely, stay positive. We're going to be okay. Stay positive. And all you keep doing is like, I'm mad. I'm sad. I'm unhappy. This is not good. Okay. If this is where you want to go, I'm going to shelf you for a little bit until I bring my positivity into this greatness.
Yeah, me too. And I agree with you. I do that too. Right.
Yeah.
Everybody's where they're at, right? And we meet people where they're at.
Yeah.
But in that procedure, we still have to protect ourselves. And if we have to disengage, then as you said earlier, we do it in love and we do it in the best possible way. And guess what? In my past, I've done it the wrong way, and I've messed up a little bit, and I guess I've gone back and apologized. But the goal is always to try to detach or disengage in a positive manner, right? And I want to tell you guys, if you're thinking, but how do you do this? Here's the thing about inner peace. When it's occurring, I want you to think about something. If you're feeling inner peace, you're living in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You're not compulsively thinking about what happened a week ago, a year ago, a month ago, and you're not compulsively thinking about what could happen, what other than giving your vision, right? And cultivating that vision, but you are living in the here and now. And when you hear people that talk about that, That's with the inner peace. And so how do you do that? I want to suggest to everybody willpower. Willpower actually works in certain areas. It takes willpower to take a negative thought that you're thinking, that may be a habitual negative thought, and say, I'm not going to give that power today. I'm thinking and flipping that switch and changing that dialogue. That takes willpower, just as much as when you're on a diet, right? And you go, there's an apple, there's a brownie, right? You use that willpower to initiate it. But if we keep in the moment, right? And sometimes, like, I've had people say to me, I don't know how, my mind is just going crazy. I can't. You know how? It's simple. You focus on, guess what? Breathe in, breathe out. I can feel my hands, right? I can feel my leg moving. I can feel my heart beating. We take it back to absolute simplicity. And it's not cliche. It works. It truly works. I had a situation where I had to say to someone, I need to step back a minute and take a breath, right? Because I was feelings that weren't positive. And I recognized that. And I just had to say, I need to step back. And I had to focus on my breath in, my breath out, almost instantaneously.
Yep.
Brought me back down, right? And I know you do the same thing.
We don't even want to start talking about my routine, folks. I get up at 3:30 in the morning for a reason. I meditate, I write, I read, I speak, I do a lot of breathing exercises. And I don't do it for social media. If you all notice, I never post anything early in the morning, right? I don't even touch my phone until, I'm ready for a note from my wife, 8:30, whatever it may be. It's a choice. I remember who said it, but every day you wake up with a chance and a choice, right? A chance to do better and a choice to make that a reality. And in many cases, we don't take the chance. For our own paradigm is not where it needs to be. Our belief system is weak, and we don't make the right choice. And we are aware of it. It's not like you don't know better. You know better. You need to work out. You need to eat healthy. You need to stop smoking, whatever that is that you need to do. You already know. You just don't have a mirror in front of you. And I'm not talking about a regular mirror. You don't have someone like me, telling you like, hey, you got to stop, dude. Like, why are you still smoking? I had a conversation, love my older brother. If you're watching this, I love you, but I'm going to use you. I told you I was going to use you.
I got one too.
My older brother, he was so careful, and he's like, pandemic and mask, and I can't be around you, and yada, 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 yada. And he never stopped smoking. And I was like, the coronavirus attacks your lungs, and it could kill you because of your lungs, So just in case you really cared about protecting those lungs so you don't die from some lung disease, just think about it. And he's still, a pack a day. And
interesting that you say that, because I have an older brother too, and he smokes as well. And I don't badger him, but I will often say, you're still smoking, huh? And we've had a few discussions about it. He quit for a period of time. And then guess what? Something came up and emotions got stirred in his life, and he started smoking again.
Yeah.
The last time I had a conversation with him, and this is really important, because hear what he said to me. I know I should stop, but I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
There's the decision.
Same thing. My father said, I've lived with it for the last 60 years. I'm good. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And in a better way, I'm an ex-smoker, by the way. So I'm not picking I'm not picking on somebody because I'm claiming to be holy. Like I grabbed a cigarette, and fortunately, bad circumstances, trauma, since I was 11 years old until I was 27. So I know addiction, and I know having a pack a day. I'm not picking on anybody.
No.
I'm just saying, you got a chance and you got a choice. Every single day I prayed, like, God, please, I know it's been so long. Don't give me lung cancer or some disease, because I care about my wife and I want to spend the maximum time allowed on this earth with her. You know, I care about my kids, and I want to spend the most maximum time allowed on this earth with them. So it's almost as a sense of responsibility. And the same goes from cigarettes about your health. Same goes from your health about your business.
Yes.
You know, like I had a conversation with a couple that I'm working with right now earlier today, and I was like, listen, don't think I'm being mean, but you're comfortable. That's your problem. You're not doing what you need to do, not because you don't have the talent. Is you're comfortable. You're okay if you do it or you don't. I'm like, you know, take a piece of paper. I ask, I'm like, are you where you want to be financially? And I was told not necessarily. I was like, okay, take a piece of paper and write, yo, you're broke, and put it on the mirror. Whenever you brush your teeth, you're gonna see that hitting you right in your face. Because I had a mentor who made me do that, Mike Mazer, ACN, back in 2000. Oh gosh, yeah, back in 2008. And hey, like I like the fact that you told, you know, I put a dollar sign and I put the zeros for 1,000,000 and I put a birth date on it. Take that off. Put a sign that says you're broke, and watch. That'll hurt.
Oh yeah, that hurts.
Oh, it changed everything. It changed everything. So comfort, unfortunately, makes people think like your brother, like my brother, like my father. I'm okay. I'm comfortable. I'm not hurting until something dramatic happens, and then we wish we have changed things. But we're coming to the top of the hour. I want to give you the final remarks, final thoughts before we wrap it up and get ready for our 8 p.m. on the im.media platform.
Oh, thank you so much. So guys, here's what's important to know. Inner peace is vital. It's absolutely vital, and it's attainable. Okay, it's truly attainable. But like anything else that is truly worthwhile, it takes effort, it takes work, it takes willpower, it takes consistency, but it all starts with a decision that is something that you desire. And what I can tell you from personal experience is when you feel even just a little taste of what inner peace truly feels like, you will clamor for it. You will desire it above all other things, and you will work hard for it. So give yourself the permission that you need to evaluate yourself, evaluate your life, figure out what makes you get that feeling of inner peace in your relationships with family, with business, in all of it, in all of life. You truly can have inner peace in all areas of your life, but it's not going to just happen by osmosis. It's going to happen with consistent thoughts and efforts. But my friends, it is so worth it. And yes, I'm nearly 60 years old, and I've been working on it for years. And I was asked not long ago, like, what was my definition of success? And today I can tell you it would be to have that consistent inner peace. So I'm feeling successful. Back to you, Ali.
Love it, love it, love it. Let's get all successful. Work on your inner peace. Work on yourself. If you want us to work with you on that tonight, 8 p.m. in about 57 minutes, im.media. We'll send you the link for the private platform as soon as you enroll, log in, and be with us. And let us work with you on creating your inner peace and definitely helping you start, grow, or scale a business, whatever that may be. We've done it in 5 continents. We've done it all over the world, and we've done it in the billions, and we definitely want to do it for you. This has been your Strategic Partner Show with Debbie Salmons, Ali Madawi. Until next time, hey, Debbie, tell them peace out, everybody.